Welcome, one and all, to 2026. We are live here. It is Monday. It is 7 p.m., which means it is time once again for Monday Night Nerd. Welcome, one and all. It is 2026. We are here. It is the new year, which means a new start to everything. I hope you are all having a great year so far. I've been having a good 5 days so far. It is good to be back in the groove of things. Holiday was great, but it is good to be back, having that momentum, having that feeling of, getting back in the groove of everything. Marcy in chat, good to see you. I hope you had a good holiday season, and anyone else who is tuning in on YouTube and tuning in live on TikTok. We have got a good show tonight. Tonight is a little bit of a personal show, but still going to be a fun show. I used to have a radio show back in 2009. I used to have an online radio show in 2009, and we're going to go through kind of just the story of that, what I learned from it, because if I didn't have that radio show, I would probably be doing a very different version of Monday Night Nerd, because there was a hell of a lot I learned about just the world and what I should do on a live show and what I shouldn't do. So we're going to be talking about that, but we got a little bit of news to jump into everything. If you are tuning in and it is your first time, hey, my name is Myers, Corp Cosplay. I'm a cosplayer in the Southern Ontario area, and this is my show, Monday Night Nerd. We go live every Monday night. We talk about nerdy things, whether it's wrestling, cosplay, comic books, video games, and a whole lot more. And we are live on YouTube. We are live on TikTok, so I can give you guys options. If you're someone who likes to hang out on TikTok, you can tune in here. Or if you want to be part of the conversation, hop onto YouTube, Myers Corp Cosplay, and that is where I'll be checking in on the chat, because I can't do this all night. It hurts my neck after a while. Let's jump into a little bit of news. Holiday news. We all had a great holiday season. I hope we had pretty much a slow holiday season here, which was not too bad. Usually we're running around with our heads cut off, but no, it was actually pretty nice, pretty relaxing. As you may well have known from the show that we did just before the holiday break, my wife and I went to a spa. It was nice. But when we came back, we just kind of relaxed around here. Gift-wise, what did I get for the holiday season? Not a ton of stuff, just some little things here and there. I did pick up a DVD drive from my computer now, so I have been ripping my DVDs onto digital. And I also picked up a RGA to HDMI cord, which means in the next couple weeks I will be ripping all of my old VHS tapes onto digital. So I will have all of my old WWE stuff on digital. I'll have a bunch of old movies and stuff that I can't find anywhere else, including something that I've been wanting to show on my YouTube channel for a long time. When I was little, probably like 6, my mom's boyfriend signed me up for art class, and the art class was not drawing, it was a claymation class, and we did a video final project, and I have the VHS still, and it is goddamn adorable what we came up with at 6. So I'm going to be hopefully getting that onto my computer, and when I do, I'm going to be posting on YouTube, because I love watching this thing. It is so crazy. We did practical effects, we did digital effects, we had music. It was such a fun class. So that'll be my next the next little while. I'll be definitely putting a whole bunch of VHS on my computer and sharing some stuff here on YouTube. But yeah, other than that, it was kind of a slow weekend, 2 weeks, whatever you want to call it. Not a hell of a lot. My wife and I, if you are unaware, do have half-season tickets to the PWHL, the Toronto Scepters, the Women's Hockey League. We did have a game yesterday, their Hamilton takeover at the TD Coliseum, which was an amazing game. And actually, tomorrow night, we have a game out at the Coca-Cola Coliseum, which we'll be heading to. But one of the news I wanted to talk about, if you are from the Hamilton area, if you're from the Southern Ontario area, you are well aware of TD Coliseum, the Cops Coliseum, whatever the hell you want to call it, First Ontario Centre. They have done some renovations, and they have been open for a short period of time now. I have now gone to see 2 things at the TD Coliseum. We saw Trans-Siberian Orchestra a couple weeks ago, and we saw the PWHL. And I have been a lifelong Hamiltonian. I have been to that arena billions and billions of times when I was a kid, because my dad took me to see the Bulldogs, and I've seen concerts there, and I've seen monster trucks and wrestling and a whole bunch of other stuff. And this was the first time they've actually done a big renovation of the arena. They have not torn the entire building down. They simply ripped the guts out and rebuilt the inside. So I was very interested to see what they were going to do, because this was a big redo, and this is kind of the first thing they've ever done to this place. They've done paint jobs and seats and stuff like that, but this is the first full renovation inside. And after 2 events, I can finally say it's weird. It's really weird. If you've not been there, if you had been there in the past, if you've been to a concert or something there, you will know that when you first walk in the door, it was sort of a plain level. You went up escalators on either side, and then that was sort of your concourse level that goes around the building. It is different now. When you first walk in, it is just, you walk straight into the concourse level. There is one set of escalators up one side, and that takes you to what would be the upper bowl of the arena. So first off, unless you're at the absolute top, you are not going to be going up that part of the arena anymore unless you're at the top. The main concourse level, this is where I've seen a lot of people critique it, and I'm going to agree with a lot of the critiques I've seen. When you first walk in, it is very claustrophobic. It is very tight. It is not like what the arena used to be. It's not what, let's say, a Scotiabank in Toronto. It is not very open. It is very close quarters. It honestly feels like they constructed it like an OHL or an AHL or a minor league hockey team arena, where they only expect a certain amount of fans. What the problem is that they've got 2 bowls basically to fill of people, and when it gets that packed, it really becomes crammed in there. The PWHL game was pretty much sold out, if not completely. It was pretty darn close, and Trans-Siberian Orchestra was pretty darn full as well. They've also painted all of the walls, floors, and ceilings flat black, which really sucks in the light, which makes it feel very dark. The restaurants there are not your normal hot dog, chips, popcorn, soda. It is a lot of brand high-end food for concessions. So you will be paying a lot of money to eat at these places. They are mostly the new, you walk in, you order your thing on a tablet, you walk through, you pick up the stuff, and you leave. It is cashless. I've seen a lot of people complain that it's cashless. It is expensive. I've seen a lot of people complain about that. And there's just a lot of barren walls in the arena. Like, if you can't go the whole way around, you can only go about 3/4 of the way, and then they've kind of blocked it off. But it's like 30 feet and then a restaurant, 30 feet restaurant, 30 feet a wall thing on a wall that you can take a photo on. It's very empty, and I don't know if they're going to start putting up like posters on the wall that'll have photos of like, these people performed here. I don't know, but it just feels very empty. It feels very dark. Like I said, we went to the PWHL game yesterday, 2 days ago, and it was an interesting experience. So they also have new lounges, which are the big things in this new arena. And we paid an extra $25 a ticket to go to the lounge. What was that lounge? How we weren't sure. And neither really did the staff. We got there and we talked to 3 staff members. The last one was the first one who knew where the lounge was and how to even get there. We went down to the lounge, and all it was really a place to hang out, and you still had to pay for drinks, you still had to pay for food, but it was just like under the arena kind of, and you hung out. There's no screens to watch whatever's happening. Like if the hockey game was going on, you can't see the hockey game from down there. It's a weird experience. It's a weird layout. Some people seem to like it, and that's great. I'm not thrilled by it. I think it needs a little work. I hope that over the next little while they see the feedback and they start maybe modifying a couple things. I know the guy from the restaurant show has a place there. He's that restaurant you can get to the outside and the inside. is really expensive. Like really, I think like fish and chips is like $30. So whether that stays, I don't know. Whether the restaurants in there stay, I don't know. I don't know what their contract is. I don't know if they have to make a certain amount of money. I don't know. But overall, it is a weird change for the arena. We're going to have to give it time. Like I said, I've only been there twice, and I think my wife and I have maybe one more concert there this year that we have kind of planned. We are pretty much going to the Ricoh Coliseum, the Coca-Cola Coliseum in Toronto for the Scepters games and for other concerts. But yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I was not expecting it to be as claustrophobic and as dark as it was. My boss actually got tickets to Paul McCartney, who was the first act there. And I asked him the next day, and he said, yeah, it's really dark and really claustrophobic. And I'm like, oh, interesting. And I just didn't understand what that means. And then when I got in there and I saw, I was like, oh, I totally understand. So yeah, not exactly what I was hoping for, but whatever. I'm not paying the bills. There's still going to be people going. They're still going to have tons of events there. Like, there's still nothing I can do. Rado said, still take that over Rogers. Yeah. Why does it say Rado on your thing, Alex? Still take it over Rogers Arena. Yeah, agreed. It's the Rogers Arena is kind of nuts having it out there in the middle of nowhere, but whatever. That's kind of it for the news. Like, we really don't have a lot to talk about. Everyone kind of took vacation at the same time because, Christmas and the holidays. So, yeah, not really much going on. Usually I talk about gaming here. I haven't really been doing much gaming. Actually, I take that back. I've been playing a lot of games. I've been playing Monster Truck Showdown, the Monster Jam Showdown, because it was free on the PSN. I've been playing that a lot lately just because it's mindless. I've just been enjoying just doing backflips and stuff in a monster truck. Probably not going to go into too much more gaming, only because it is the beginning of cosplay season. I'm probably going to start getting the general idea of how I'm going to be building Darius from League of Legends in the next few weeks, so I can start that build, because we are 5 months away from this costume's got to be built. So I'm excited for that. Dave in chat says Bell Center in Montreal rocks. I've heard nothing but great things about that arena. And if it was closer, I would love to see a Habs game there. Which actually had a lot of people in the comments. Actually, we'll talk about sports quickly. Winter Classic was this weekend, and no one really talked about it. But I saw a lot of people comment that doing the Winter Classic either on the river, or what was the other one? Oh, doing it at Rogers Center and do Montreal versus Toronto and do it at the Rogers Center and just open the dome up at night and have the stars and everything come in from the sky. And I thought that was kind of a cool idea. I like the idea of doing it on the frozen river. I don't think they'll be able to do that from a logistics standpoint, because you can't really Zamboni that ice that well because it's not that thick. But I think that'd be a dope visual to see that. But all right, let me take a quick drink of water, and then we will jump into the main event. Folks, if you're still here, I greatly appreciate that you guys are here. I mean, you're spending your Monday night with me. It's appreciated. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and all those things. We're going to quickly do a sponsor. As always, it's 2026. If you do not understand who the sponsor is, this must be your first episode, and thank you. The sponsor, as always, is my beautiful, loving, amazing, incredible wife. She is always going to be my sponsor, because without her, I would not be the person I am today. I'm definitely a better and happier person with her in my life. So, hun, you will always be my sponsor. All right, let's talk about the main event. This is an episode I've kind of had on the back burner for a long time, because I've noticed, I don't want to do. I want to care what you guys want to watch and want to hear me talk about, but then I also just want to talk about stuff that I'm interested in, and I know some of those don't really match side by side, but I want to talk about this because this was a very good learning experience, and I feel like if I didn't have this learning experience, this entire show would be very, very different. I feel like it helped me understand not what you guys want specifically, but what what I should do on a show, what I should do live, not just talking on a podcast, but kind of just talking if I was to do a panel as a cosplayer or something like that, an interview for something, anything live. So what we're going to talk about tonight is I used to have an online radio show. It was with a company or an individual / company called Image FM. And what that was back in 2008-9, I was dating a girl, and through her and through some friends of mine, her friend had a band, and it was a really cool band. It was doing some local shows, and through them, I met this couple. And they had this online radio platform. Now, I know in today's world, it's like, what do you mean online radio? Like, why don't you just do like YouTube and stuff like this? Well, YouTube wasn't what it is now. YouTube was there, but it wasn't as prominent. It wasn't as easy to do live video and stuff like that like it is today. So what he had a garage. Pretty good size, probably I would say 2 to 3 car garage. And he had renovated it where he had its own little room, which he had all of his like mixing equipment, audio equipment, tons of stuff. And then he had a big room that was completely soundproofed, and he would have bands there. And what he was doing was he was kind of trying to promote local artists in Hamilton. So whether it was a new band, whether it was, a singer or something like that. And he would do online shows. Like he would go, if he had a band that was coming up to record or do something in his garage, he would have them come in, and then maybe he would throw on this video program that he had paid for and for his website, and he would stream live from his garage. And he had to pay for the website, he had to pay for the streaming service, he had to pay for a whole bunch of different things, which are now pretty much free on YouTube and other platforms. If not free, super cheap. So he was paying a buttload to do this. And again, this was 2008, 2009. This was like 25 years ago almost, if not 30. And it's very different now, or 20 years ago. Very different than what it is now. Technology has come a lot further. So I was around, at this point, I was around 2021. I was, like I said, I was dating this girl, and we were just kind of, I think we were at their house for something, because he loved throwing parties for local bands and stuff. And I think we were at his house having a party, and he kind of brought up that he wanted to do this online radio thing and sort of just have different people come on, and we would just play music and, shoot the shit and just go live, kind of like this, but with music included. And we kind of talked about it, and we were like, what do you want to do? What is he looking for? What am I looking for? What are, yada, yada, yada. And it was basically, like I said, come on, play some tunes, kind of act like a radio DJ, and just kind of do it out of his garage. And he asked myself, he asked the lead singer of the band I was talking about before, his name's Joe, and he was talking to another girl, I believe her name was Brittany, who was actually, she became, I think, a DJ for Q107. I don't know if she's still with him, but she became a real DJ out of this. And he basically said, yeah, like each one of you can come in one night a week. Mine was Tuesday, I think Joe was Wednesday, and Brittany was Thursday. And we can come on at 7 o'clock, just come over to the house, 7 o'clock, and just go live, kind of like this, and just, talk, play music, blah, 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 blah. And he asked me, and I was kind of apprehensive, because I was like, I don't know, like going live once a week for an hour is kind of a thing that's outside of my wheelhouse. Kind of what I do every Monday night now, and I've been doing it for 130 episodes. But he was like, think about it, get back to me. And I talked to my girlfriend about it, and I was like, you know what? What's it gonna hurt, right? Like, why not go try this? So we got together and we said, let's figure out kind of a format. And this is the part that makes me realize how much of a marketer I am without realizing it, because I was not into the marketing world until 10 years ago when I went to school. I was a late college attendee. And back at 21, like, I was already trying to figure out, like, how do we market this channel? How do we, I was telling him, like, let's print up flyers showing that all 3 DJs are going to be there. And we should go to all the indie shows and pass out flyers. And we should, have a Facebook page, and we should talk, because Facebook was the thing at that point. That was the only social media. And, like, we should have a Facebook page, and we should talk about all of us and have, like, biographies and stuff. And I'm looking back on this because I still have some of the photos and stuff. I shared them on Instagram, where I was just like, man, I marketed the daylights out of myself before I even realized I was a marketing person. So we kind of talked. We kind of figured out, like, let's get a feel of the show, and then we'll kind of go into that, which I was excited about. And then I realized that was kind of I don't know if it was let's see if you guys stumble before we push any harder, because I don't know if he had a ton of confidence in us. And I understand why now, and I'll explain why in a minute. So we kind of got in there, and I think Joe started probably a month before I did, and he kind of gave me the idea. He kind of told me, like, what happened, and it's basically this. Like, it was exactly what he said, where you're just going to go live, throw music, and go, basically be a DJ. And then you have Brittany come on, and Brittany had her own style of doing it, and the guy who was running the whole thing, Image FM, Mark, he really liked Brittany. And then I started. And I have to admit, I loved doing it. As you can tell, because I do this every single Monday night. However, I learned a very, very important lesson. And it wasn't a lesson that I realized at the time. It was something I realized very much later when I looked back on it. My show was way too personal. Let me explain. So when I would go in there, I would do, I'd talk for a minute or two, throw to a song. Talk for a few minutes, throw to a song. Talk for a few minutes, throw to a song. And near the end, I would do Mike's rant. And Mike's rant started out as just something happened on the bus today, and I'm just going to complain about it. By like month 3, I was like venting personal shit on this show, because my whole thought process was, if I'm real, if I tell you all my inner turmoil and all my inner, you'll all understand, and you'll love my show more. I can tell you right now, doesn't work that way. And you probably realize that on social media nowadays as well. Like, if you got stuff going on in your life, by all means, if it makes you feel better, post online. I'm not that type of person. You will probably never see anything personal on my social medias, except for my personal social, which I barely post on anymore. I don't mention my wife on here that often, if any. I don't think half of you know what my wife's name is. Please don't put it in the chat. But I've realized over the years that the people that know you, care about you, love you, they care about stuff that's going on. The 99% of other people don't care at all. They have their own stuff. And The last thing they want to hear is anybody sitting on here bitching and moaning about their problems. Again, there's a few people in your life, there's probably a good amount of people in your life that care about you, that, would they be there to support you if something happened. But overall, most don't care. Most are too busy dealing with their own stuff. So I realized very early on, well, I didn't learn it very early on. I look back on it and say, I was way too personal on my show. Like, there were points where I was like therapy session on my show, where I was like in tears. I was venting so much about, personal stuff that was happening in my life, stuff that I should not have been sharing online. Nothing like horrible, but like shit that my girlfriend and I were going through, shit that me and my parents may have been going through. Like, it was just so much, way too much. We came here to escape to Nerdvana. And you know what? That's what I want. Like, it's so easy to turn on any social media platform nowadays and find negativity. It's easy. It's so easy. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to sit here and be like, man, the world sucks. The world is terrible. The world ain't half bad, really. There are problems. There's always been problems. But overall, we're doing pretty good, I think. So I always want to keep this show a little bit lighthearted, a little bit fun, and, if I can sprinkle in a little bit of, hey, I screwed up here, don't do that, you should probably not do that too, that's what I try and do. So thankfully you guys watch, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. So we did this for, I want to say, about a year. I just woke up at 6. Oh my God, Boomster, you're still over in, where are you? You're over in over near China. Like, holy crap. We are worldwide tonight. Boomster is not here in the Great White North. He is across the other side of the world. So we did this thing for about a year. And let's go 10 months. And like I said, we were coming in, and I was doing this every week, and I knew even then, without knowing the numbers and knowing, details and all that, I knew it was costing him a ton of money to do this. Like, this doesn't really cost me too much. It's about $20 a month to do this podcast. Through the app that I'm using. YouTube's free, but it just streams to YouTube. But I know it was costing him a ton of money. And the big thing that was costing him a ton of money was the licensing for the music. And if you ever created content on either Facebook's primarily for this, Instagram's better, TikTok's even better, but YouTube too, if you use licensed music, you're either going to get demonetized, or worst case scenario, you'll get pinged by the recording artist, their company, etc. And if you get too many notifications, they could shut your channel down for breaking copyright law. So I know he was paying a buttload to have like an inventory of music. And there were times where he had a lot of good recording artists. Like, he had major people on this list. He had Metallica, he had Bryan Adams, like, he had a lot of Canada stuff because we're Canadian. But I would always want to throw new stuff on there. And I didn't understand the legality behind it. So I would just tell him, like, I'm going to bring, 20 CDs, and before my show, I'm going to show up early and I'm going to throw them on the computer. And I would just want to play those because those are the songs I was enjoying at that point. And he was a little apprehensive about it. But again, I was so young, and I say that as a 37-year-old now. 21, I was still so young that I didn't understand why it was such a pain in the arse to do it. I was very steadfast in wanting to do my own thing and thinking to myself, well, if I just do it my way, because I think my way is going to work, it'll work. People will start listening, and he'll just go, Mike was right. I should have listened to him. I realize that's not the way to do it, especially for somebody who's paying bills and having to pay a bill every month to do this. I'm the schmuck who just comes in and talks on the radio. I shouldn't have equal say. But at 21, I was like, Stone Cold Steve Austin, I'm going to show you. And it became a problem. We were about 10 months in, and he asked me to show up early. He told me to show up early to talk about the show. Now, if you've never had a job, or if you've had a job and you've had this conversation where you've gotten an email or a call from someone higher up and says, show up early, we need to talk about whatever you're doing, it's 95% not a good email or not a good reason why you're showing up. So I show up, and he says, we got to talk about the music. And I said, okay. And I said, is it because I'm, uploading new music and wanting to do that? He says, yeah. He goes, yeah, that's kind of a problem. He goes, but also, he goes, I'm paying a lot of money to get the rights to do these, to play music, just major recording artists. And he goes, it's taking a lot of finances away from me to do this. So we kind of want to change the style of the shows, not just yours, all the shows, including what we do. And I said, okay, what's changing? He goes, well, I want to primarily focus on local indie artists. He goes, I want this channel and this website and all that to be the go-to place for anyone in the Southern Ontario area that wants to become a recording artist. They want to, record, and he could mix albums and stuff in the garage and stuff. He goes, so I want to be the guy that they come to if they want to mix an album, if they want to record a live performance, if they want to do anything, music-wise in Ontario, I want to be that place. And I said, cool. I think that's a great idea. And that was one of the biggest lies I ever said. Because I knew that was the death nail in this place. Because I knew how many people were tuning into my show. And I can tell you right now, based off the number that I don't know exactly the number because numbers are all over the place, but looking at my counter right now, there are 10 of you watching this show. And then you are double, if not triple, how many people watched my show. Boomster says, any music, any genre. Yeah, it was kind of up to us. I know Brittany was kind of more poppy. Joe was more grunge rock. He's very into like that side of it. I was doing more rock metal because that's my type of music. If you've ever seen my social medias, I throw in the occasional like Spice Girls or something like that because I do like other types of music and I like throwing those in just as a curveball every now and then. But yeah, we can kind of play whatever we wanted to. It's just whatever we liked. And Joe's went one way, Brittany's went another, mine went one way. So he wanted to do these indie artists, and he wanted to primarily focus on that. And I was like, all right, I can try, but I'm sitting there looking at these songs, and I don't know any of these songs. I don't know any of these artists. So looking at a list, I'm like, I don't know what's a good song. I don't know what's a bad song. I'm just picking at random at this point. Pretty Dirty says, and Aqua. What's wrong with Aqua? There's nothing wrong with Aqua. They were great live. Phantom Frontier says, you're the reason why those anti-piracy messages are all on DVDs in the early 2000s. No, I was not you couldn't rip DVDs back then. Honestly, since I got the DVD drive, I've been wanting to rip my DVD collection for the longest time, and I couldn't figure out a way to do it. I literally over the holiday was the first time I ever saw somebody go, "This is the easiest way to do it. It takes 2 programs to make the files. Just go nuts." So, and I'm not going to like the library or anything like that and getting a whole bunch of DVDs. It's literally just, there's a bunch of old DVDs that I've had that I cannot find digital versions of anywhere. So I just want to do those. But yeah, I knew this would be a problem because I'm like, okay, I don't know who half these artists are. It's like being a fan of, it's like me telling you, you guys should listen to, Godsmack, and me throwing their entire discography at you, or me picking exactly what it is. I just would pick a band and I would just pick a random song. I don't know if it's a good song. I don't know if it's a bad song. Like, that doesn't help me, because then I could be like, you should all listen to this band. They're called the Hamilton Summer. Play. And I'm like, this song is dog crap. So whoever's listening is not listening anymore because I played a bad song. So within like 3 weeks, I was like, look, I'm going to just start playing the other music and playing the major artists again, because I just got bored. Like, I really got bored because I'd have to do an hour a night, and 2-3 minute songs. That's way too much long to sit there and just be like, huh. And by the way, online radio, I had video too. So the camera's pointing on me the whole time. So it's not like I'm going and we're going to kill the video when the song's on. No, the video's on me the whole time. And not like this, sort of like security camera look, where it's like in a corner. And like, I can't sit there and just be like, yep, this song's great. At least if it was a song that I knew and I was a fan of, I'm like, all right, I can be a jackass on camera and just be like, yeah, exit line tonight. Like, I can at least make a jackass out of myself and entertain the people watching the video. But if it's an indie band, I'm just like, this song sucks. This song sucks. So it was boring to watch as well. Phantom Frontier says, I mean, if you don't, you should listen to Godsmack. Just suggestion, read about them in People. I don't know if that's a shot on Godsmack or not. I hope it's not, because I like Godsmack. So the show didn't last long after that, or did it die slowly? It didn't last long after the 10 months, because I knew every time I went live, he was getting more frustrated. Which sucked, because I didn't want to be that guy, but I'm also like, I'm the face. So I'm the one who, like, I don't want to look like an idiot on live video. Like, it honestly, it reminds me a lot of, okay, good. He did say Godsmack's fantastic. It reminds me a lot of a job I applied for a few years ago. They wanted me to be like the face of the company, and I didn't want to be the face of the company. And they were really big on like, we'll just throw you more money. We'll just throw you more money. Like, he wanted me to shoot video for their products and stuff. And I'm just like, I don't trust the company, and I don't trust that you guys are going to make jackasses out of me. And I'm going to be the face of it. So I'm the one who's got to, deal with the consequences of having my face on this company. So I was just like, look, I'm just going to keep doing my way. Because again, I guess I realized at that point I have a problem with authority telling me what I'm right or wrong, and I just kept on doing it my way. And literally at like the 1 year, probably like 2 weeks after the 1 year mark. So to summarize what happened, video killed the radio star. Yeah, kinda. I mean, again, I don't mind being on camera. I don't mind doing it, but I need to talk about something or do something that's entertaining, because this is part of it. Like, if I do this, it changes the entire dynamic of the show. But if I'm sitting here and you're watching me, it's like watching a band. A lot of people don't realize this. If I play you a live album from a band and just audio, you will hear so many different mess ups, changes, etc. in the music. If you watch the show, same recording, but you watch it visually, you won't pick up on as many of those faults because your eyes you're half watching it and half listening to it. You're not just using one of your senses. It's the same thing with this. If I sat here and just had my hand over, if I didn't have video and it was just audio, I will fully admit this would be a boring as hell podcast. But me kind of doing this and being a jackass and stuff, that is part of the show. And that is part of, I don't want to say the appeal, but that's part of the game. So I knew that if I was just sitting there twiddling my thumbs, you can tell I'm bored. You can tell I don't want to be there. So I was like, well, if I don't change, if I keep going down the way of just doing indie, I'm screwed. And this channel's not going to work, and no one's going to watch, and he's still going to be paying a buttload of money to do, not just paying to do the rights of the music, but still having to pay for the website, having to pay for streaming and all that. So, yeah, about a couple weeks after the 1 year mark, you are appealing. Jesus Christ. 2 weeks, I think it was 2 weeks after the 1 year mark, I was literally going to their place to do the show, and he pulled me, you had to go through his house to get to his garage. You couldn't just go through the driveway. So I'd always go in, just like, hey, how's it going? Chat for a few minutes, and then I'd go to the show. And I walked in, he's like, can you sit down for a minute? And I'm like, that's it, I'm done. And that's what it was. He sat me down. He's like, we've had some thoughts about the show and yada, yada, yada. We're kind of, this is it. You're not going to do the show tonight. This is kind of done. And by this point, I think Brittany had quit, and I think Joe was still going, but I think Joe was pretty close to getting to that point too. So it wasn't just like, Mike, you're fired, bang, the rest did great. All three of us were kind of like, I don't know about this. The one, and I was cool with it. I was like, okay, cool. I'm like, thanks for giving me the chance. It wasn't like, fuck you and all that. I wish they would have told me earlier, because before every show, kind of like I do here, I was doing posts and talking, hey, come check out the show tonight. We're talking about this and da-da-da-da-da. And I wish he would have given me that time to be like, hey, by the way, show's over. Don't tune in tonight. Because I had to, or not have me come all the way there. Because, I had to take the bus for, a 20-minute bus ride to get to their place. So it's you could have saved me on bus fare, and I could have just stayed home. That would have helped. And also, with all the stuff that he did, all the tech, everything, they never recorded the shows. And I didn't realize that until it was over. Because I was like, that sucks that this is over. And then, 2 weeks later, I messaged him. I'm like, hey, hope everything's good. Just a thought, just to have, wouldn't it be cool? Can you send me, the last episode I did so I can just have it as hey, remember when I did this? And he's like, yeah, we never record the shows. And I'm like, what do you mean you never record the shows? I'm like, you record everything else. He's like, yeah, we never recorded the shows. I'm like, perfect. So I have no evidence of me doing this besides a couple Facebook posts that you put out, because I did all the rest of the marketing. So yeah, it ended kind of crummy. And honestly, there wasn't much communication with them after. Before and during, we would see them at shows and we would do all that stuff. During my time having the show, my girlfriend and I, that we were together, we broke up during that time during the shows. So she was one of the main reasons that I saw them, because we would all go to local concerts and stuff. So after we broke up, I really didn't go to many local concerts anymore. So after that, yeah, we barely talked, and I barely have I don't think I've talked to him in years since then. But I really did learn a lot from that show, and that is record all of your stuff, because you really need, I love having these things documented somewhere, because you never know. Like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know if I can't, job falls apart and I need to stop doing the podcast for some reason. And it'd be cool just to have, like, later on in life. I'm like, hey, remember when I did a show for 130 episodes? Yeah, this would be pretty cool. And I learned the biggest one was not to talk a whole bunch of personal stuff here. And in general, like, I don't want to talk about any, like, there's things I'll bring up here and there, but not anything in depth like I did before. I would love to just get some of those old episodes. I wish he did tape it. Just get some of those old tapes of just me just going nuts. Because, like, there were times where I was just, like, in tears ranting of just, like, it was such a bad, and I don't want to do, and I got angry and pointed at the camera and stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so juvenile. Like, I'm such a wimp. Like, I can't believe I did that. But whatever. Phantom Frontier said, good job, Mike. You give one Clinton ran in the 90s, and you hide all the evidence. Yeah. Well, that was the thing. Like, that was the thing. They never complained about the rants. I never heard any complaint about the rants. I actually had a bunch of people like, oh, that was really raw that you talked about it and was, like, very honest and stuff like that. And looking back, I'm like, why didn't you guys tell me to shut up? like, come on. Even at 21, I was like, good God, shut up, dude. You got so many better things going on in your life. It's nice. And Boomster Joe said, yeah, it's nice to have it when you have something to show for it. Yeah, and that's all I want. Like, I don't want, like, the whole back catalog. I'm never going to watch those. But just one that I could be like, hey, this was kind of fun. This was kind of cool that I did this for about a year. But whatever. Yeah, it was a fun time. And honestly, it did help me a lot get into the mindset of this. Like, it was obviously, it really kicked into high gear when I went on the Geeks & Co. show, because that was when we finished the show and we said our goodbyes, and I kind of sat by myself and I was like, that felt very similar to the radio show. And I did that for a year, and I did that for an hour a week. That's kind of what a podcast is now. I kind of just did that, and I had two other people on to yak with, and I was like, I guess I could kind of do this. And here we are, 2 years later and 130 episodes, and we're still doing this. So, yeah, it was fun. It was fun playing music, and, I love sitting here and talking. I love sitting here with other people and talking. It was nice playing music, and I will fully admit, if there was a way where I could get away with it and not have to pay stupid prices, I would love to do that version of a podcast. Like, I would love to be a radio DJ. That is something that I've always wanted to do. And I know I would be probably terrible at it, because I'm the guy who would not want to play the hits. I'm always the one who's like, listen to this odd recording from this odd album that 20 people own, where Kirk Hammett messes up a solo, but it's such a cool mess up and stuff. It's stuff like that I'm just like, that would be my radio show. It would be like Myers presents the odd songs or something like that. And that's kind of what my radio show was I wasn't playing, like, when I would play Metallica, it wouldn't be like, let's play Enter Sandman or Nothing Else Matters. It would be like, let's play Ronnie from Reload that nobody knows, and it's actually not the best Metallica song, but I love it, so I'm going to play it. Or I'll play, like, let's play the 12-minute Tool song that 5 people want to listen to. So, yeah, I would love to do it, but I just know cost-wise it would be a pain in the ass. Logically, it would probably be a pain in the ass. Like, this takes time to kind of get the show ready and stuff every week, and I'm also cosplaying, so it'd be like, hey, I'm gonna do another thing that's gonna take up time. Yeah, I wouldn't be good at doing it, but it taught me a lot. It was fun. It was fun to say that, I had a little online radio show. It's weird looking back. Like, I'm only 37, but there is a part of me that looks back and it's like, man, when you were like 20, I trained to be a wrestler. I had an online radio show. Like, that's not something normal people talk about. Like that, it seems so normal then, but now I'm like, oh wow, that is such a weird thing to be like. You kind of did a pretty good amount of fun stuff when I was a kid. Marcy said, my brother did a radio show in London a few years ago. He played whatever he wanted because it was Radio Western. Yeah, if you're with like a university or a college, it's real easy to do it because they have the licensing to play those songs. And I went to Mohawk College. My dad coincidentally went to Mohawk College when he was young for radio DJ. Coincidentally, I do this. Who would have thunk it? And I talked to the people who were running the radio department, and I asked them if I could do it, but they're like, we've already got kids in the course, so, it's not really for us. Actually, holy crap, it just hit me. Near the end of my time at Mohawk, the person they got in there to help run the radio station was the guy who owned Image FM. I remember going down the one day and just because I had to walk by their radio station to get to one of my classes. I remember seeing him in there and we had a talk the one day and we were like, holy crap, like, what are you doing here? Oh, we're doing this. And then, oh, that's so cool. Wow, I totally forgot about that. Thank you for bringing that up. A live stream that is always going to be music would be fun but expensive. Yeah, and that's the problem, is that it's just going to cost too much money. Like TikTok, I could possibly do it because they're a little looser with playing music over live streaming. But like I've put on like background music. I've put on like a random mix on YouTube on an iPad off to the side and streamed on my phone and just had the volume on like a 3, and Instagram's picked it up, YouTube's picked it up, TikTok's picked it up. So it's just like even that low, it's still sensitive enough that they pick it up. If you do too much, you might lose your sponsor. I might lose my sponsor if I do too much. Phantom Frontier. I'm Mike Myers. I'm going to play this haunted house backtrack from Noodle. Honestly, that would be me. Like, I would be the person who's like I've literally got, it's funny because I was going through my hard drive last week or over the weekend, and I was going through, I've got probably, let me see. I know I should have done this beforehand, but screw it, we're going to do it now. I've got, it's still counting. I'm on the properties file for my music folder. 15,000, 16,000, 17,000, 18,000, 19,000, 20,000, 25,000, 30,000, 35,000, still going, 40,000. These are songs. These are individual songs. 41,242 songs equaling 109 gigs worth of music. I don't have Spotify. I have physical. I have CDs. I have a hard drive with music on it. I have 41,242 songs in my backup that I'll throw on random and just let it play. And I'll just flip through songs and enjoy it. So, yeah, I would find weird versions of things and just be like, yep, I'm gonna just play these random things that no one else cares about. Was there a moment during the show where you thought, yeah, this is why I do this? Yeah, like, it's fun. It's a blast. It was a blast doing the show. Like, I really enjoyed the music side of it. It's funny. I was thinking about it a couple weeks ago. That is kind of my first love. I love cosplay. I love video games a lot. Music is my first love. Like, when I first grew up, before it was easy to like burn CDs and stuff, like I had, my mom's friend had a burner, and I would just send him like, how many songs can I fit on a CD? And he's like, you can fit this many. And I would just send him list, and just like, keep burning me CDs. I'll keep giving you money for them, because that was just the way I was. I had a hair in my mouth. I've got at least, I've got at least 40 mix CDs that I've just downloaded. I actually made series when I was a kid. Like, I had two friends, Caleb and Kurt, who would come over, and they were music fans too. And like every other week, I would be like, hey, I've got this new CD with all these cool songs. And they weren't like weird songs. They were some normal ones, just ones I don't have. And I would just be like, let's listen to the CD. Let's listen to the CD list. And I did this like 40 times. I had MVD mix, which was my email at the time was Mike Van Dam, Rob Van Dam. I was Mike Van Dam mix. And then I had, Mystical Myers mix, the Unnamed mix, which was just, I couldn't think of a name, so I just called the series the Unnamed mix. My friends and I, Kurt, Caleb, and I made CDs, and this is embarrassing as hell, and I'm going to clip this as a short because of how embarrassing this is. My friends and I had a series of CDs that we burned. It was only like 3 CDs because it was just so stupid, called Thrusting Hits. And it was literally, we were like, let's get songs that you can grind to, and they all had to have that beat to it. And we would sit there and just be like, let's play these. Anytime we go to like other friends' houses, they're like, let's bring the Thrusting Hits, and we would just play it and just be doing this in the background to these songs. We were weird kids. It's it was not you wonder why I was single for so many years, because that was me. But yeah, music has always been my first love. Like, I've always been a giant music fan. I've got, literally behind this monitor right here, I've got all my ticket stubs from all my concerts. I've always been a music fan. So I would love to do a version of it now, but it just costs way too much. There's too many legal hoops to hop through. I've debated on maybe doing something on TikTok where I would just go through the songs and just try and find odd versions of it and just be like, oh, this is a really cool song, you should listen to it, and just play like 30 seconds of it and then like link to it somewhere. I don't know. But that's the only way I can think of doing it. I mean, I could post stuff on YouTube, but none of it will be monetized. By the way, none of this is monetized, but none of it would be monetized, and the chances of me getting dinged for copyright infringement would just be too easy. So I don't do that. David in chat says, I'm going to do a Klingon wrestling cosplay and make myself a Klingon wrestling belt. Please send me pictures of that. That is going to look amazing. That's going to look amazing. I cannot wait to see that. Pretty Nerd Crystal says, I have folders and stuff that I still haven't put into YouTube lists. It's sad to lose it all. And honestly, that's why I have all of my music, movies, and stuff on an external. This isn't the external, but I have multiple external hard drives. Because, I don't want to lose any of that stuff. Like, I've taken a whole lot of time to put these things together. And I just want to preserve it. So, like, any podcast episodes I've been on, I will rip them and I will put them on a hard drive, because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if there's been too many times where I've saved, like, I've got a music playlist on YouTube that I use. And there's been too many times where I've saved a video and the channel has died for some reason, whether they've canceled this channel or they've hit a copyright problem and they've killed it. Don't know. But then I can't find that song anymore. So I just end up going, well, I'm just going to make my own version of it. And it's real easy to do now. It's real easy to do it. But I think that's it for the night. We are at 7:59. It is almost 8 o'clock. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys sticking around. I appreciate it. Next week, we're going to jump back into the world of cosplay. We're going to talk about cosplay foam fails. Because, as someone who uses EVA foam a lot, I have messed up a ton a ton. And we're going to talk about how I've messed up in the past, what projects I messed up in the past, and how you cannot make those same errors. We're going to talk about planning for your builds. We're going to talk about rushing through your builds. We're going to talk about glue. We're going to talk about all that ton of stuff. So if you're a cosplayer, if you're interested in cosplay, if you're interested in starting your foam builds and stuff like that, because we are in 2026, tune in next Monday. We're going to jump into cosplay foam fails and how to avoid those things going forward. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button if you're on TikTok. We'll be back next week. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you guys, actually, you know what? I'm going to do something before you guys take off. I'm going to ask you guys a question, and I need you guys not to put it in here, but either DM me or put in the comments of the video after we're done. I want to change some things up here on the show, and I don't know what. I've seen a ton of different podcasts where, people are talking. It's a 2-person podcast, and they kind of talk back and forth and all that. I don't have that option. So if you have any ideas on what I can do here on the podcast that you feel would make it better, leave a comment and let me know, or DM me either on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, and let me know. Because I've got a couple ideas of things I want to try and change on here, and I don't know what to do. I don't want to change too much because I like the way this is going, but, improvement's always good. So leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to let you guys take off because I'm going to go relax for a bit. Have yourselves a good night. I will be on social. I might be live during the week. Better internet. Oh, Crystal, you're mean. I will probably be on TikTok at some point live doing some planning for Darius. It won't be a lot of actual cosplay work, but I will be planning, and I'll be live, and we can talk about foam work and all that fun stuff because I got a lot of foam coming up in the next few months. Have yourselves a great night, folks. We will see you next week. Love y'all. Take care. We'll see you soon. Hey, thanks for watching Monday Night Nerd. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the subscribe button, like this content, and follow on social media for even more nerdy fun. See you soon.